The topic tackled here is that the formal, non-formal, and informal approaches in pro-social crisis communication while dealing with refugees from conflict areas. In point of the kind of aim communication may target in times of humanitarian crisis, pro-social communication aims at exchanging information that is relevant in order to benefit others, according to Eisenberg, including helping, cooperating, comforting, and donating. Within the crisis generated by the Russian attack in Ukraine on the 24th of February 2022, pro-social communication has been the way of dealing with the Ukrainian refugees' drama. Effectiveness, promptitude, and kindness would be key characteristics to be correlated to pro-social communication in times of refugee crisis. Such pro-social communication may be approached from various angles. From the viewpoint of the source or emitter, this research resorted here to extrapolating into the field of communication the terms formal, non-formal, and informal, used first by Philip Holcomb in 1968 in Education. Complex crisis situations like the one created by the conflict in Ukraine require complex and manifold approaches in communicating towards organizing social response in order to support the refugees and all those who are affected by the challenging conflict context. The term formal organization communication is approached here to refer to the communication issued by governmental organizations by the government itself. This kind of communication needs to be highly regulated and intentional, planned and structured and sequenced beforehand, according to 2018. Systematic, according to DIB 1987, this kind of communication is or should be performed by specialized employees. If formal organization communication is planned and structured, the informal one is experience-dependent and context-sensitive, according to Jenkins 2011. It suggests participants' immersive engagement in activities with minimal constraints, control and intention, while being empowered. It occurs in situations where communication is a participant-centered, self-motivated experience and where the objectives and outcomes of communication are more intrinsic. It is not sequenced beforehand. Informal by non-formal organization communication, this research refers to the communication generated by non-governmental organizations like the Romanian Red Cross and UNICEF Romania. It may be regarded as a possible manifestation between the two poles, according to Hoon Hong 2018, is of formal and informal pro-social communication. It is normative because of its accountability to governmental structures and interpretive as it resorts to the work of many volunteers, besides the few employees and the employer-founder of the non-governmental organization. In its outward manifestation, non-formal pro-social communication should be rather normative. It should abide by rules, norms. In its inward functioning, based on the work of few employees and many volunteers, it is rather interpretive, mostly in the volunteering area. In point of the aims and objectives, we deem that this research on the online functioning in the social media and on website of these three areas of communication in times of refugee crisis may account for interesting conclusions that may prove to be quite relevant for future development of online strategies of communication. And this stands for the main aim that is triggered here. The objectives have in view the pinning of the most effective ways of communicating within the context of humanitarian crisis, of showing which of the three kinds of communication exhibits more promptitude, which encompasses and motivates more participants to participate in the pro-social communication process. Another important objective is that of differentiating between active versus passive in the pro-social communication strategies within the context of analysis. In point of the research methodology that best suits the above-mentioned aims and objectives, content analysis applied on the messaging on Facebook pages and groups, on the one hand, and on websites, on the other hand, may provide meaningful information towards such research purposes. The number of postings, reactions, like likes, for instance, and other kinds of reactions, comments, and forwards were measured qualitatively, and then the most representative ones were analyzed from the quantitative viewpoint to see the content of the message that elicited more reactions. The research focus here refers first to the Facebook official pages of the Romanian government, UNICEF Romania, Crucea și Română, Red Cross Romania, and the Facebook group Uniți pentru Ucraina, United for Ukraine, that have been monitored for 50 days from the 24th of February 2022, the day of the Russian attack of Ukraine, to the 12th of April 2022, when the conflict was still ongoing. Then the postings and the functionality of the websites Ukraine Together We Help More, Ucraina împreună ajutăm mai mult, of the Romanian government, UNICEF, refugiați, Red Cross, Romania, Bucharest, Romania have been analyzed in order to pinpoint the most important characteristics of effectiveness of such results regarding the total number of postings and the average number of postings per day may be found here in Table 1. Table 2 presents data about the total number of reactions, for instance likes, and the average number of reactions per posting. The total number of comments and the average number of comments per posting may be found in table number 3 here. And table 4 presents the total number of forwards and the average number of forwards per posting. The Romanian government website Împreună Ajutăm Mai Mult, Together We Help More, provides easy access and counseling regarding all kinds of support, employment, schooling rights, medical assistance, accommodation, asylum, and so on. Donations are encouraged. The UNICEF website offers counseling phone numbers for refugees, and it also encourages donations. Romanian Red Cross website offers a call center for Ukraine at phone number. Donations are encouraged there as well. Interpreting the results, the most active in points of postings among the Facebook outlets has been by far the informal group Uniți pentru Ucraina, United for Ukraine, with more than 73,000 postings as compared to 103 by the government Facebook page and very few on the NGO's Facebook pages. This may be explained first by the fact that on the Uniți pentru Ucraina group, all of the members contribute and that people tend to trust acting on the spot on their own rather than trusting intermediaries and do not need any formal approvals to act. And second, as formal organizational structures like the government usually tend to exhibit lagging in reactions due to the formal hierarchical structure of the organization, to the norms, rules, and regulations that cost time in the decision-making process towards any kind of decision, including the development of communication outlets platforms. The non-formal NGOs, UNICEF and Red Cross, exhibited due to their dichotomy in the status between their both formal and informal areas, the lack of formal organizations. The employees need to abide by laws and the lack of structured reaction due to the time taken by volunteer gathering. The government Facebook page elicited most of the average number of reactions per posting, 330, whilst the Uniți pentru Ucraina group, the least, less than 1. Still, on the other hand, the highest number of likes was on the Uniți pentru Ucraina group, 2,502, elicited by a posting of expressing refugee gratitude towards Romanian citizens that helped. This may be explained first by the fact that on the Uniți pentru Ucraina group, many of the postings just show that some refugees' problems have been worked out and therefore this posting did not need any reactions. And second, the government Facebook page and website were promoted intensely by all mainstream media outlets, even in the newscasts, and therefore it was easier for people to find out about them and then have reactions. The non-formal NGOs postings have obtained a fair number of reactions per posting due to the general visibility of such organizations, despite the few postings. The significant average number of comments per posting on the government Facebook page, 165, shows interest in the governmental decisions because these have a strong impact on citizens. Many comments show the critical thinking approach by the commentator citizens on controversial topics. The average of few comments per posting on the informal group Uniți pentru Ucraina accounts for the pragmatic approach of the participants to the communication in the group, as it juts out from the content of the comments that actually provide solutions. Many postings did not elicit comments as they just announced worked out problems. The non-formal NGOs, UNICEF and Red Cross activities and posting did not stir any controversy nor many comments. Generally, most of the comments addressed controversies for all of the Facebook pages and groups. The most forwarded postings and averages per posting were those of the government Facebook page by far, and those of the Uniți pentru Ucraina group afterwards. The most forwarded posting on the government Facebook page announced the launching of the online platform on the 26th February 2022. The non-formal NGOs, UNICEF and Red Cross, exhibited also a significant average number of forwards per posting, as this posting, like those from the government, regard a wide area of influence in the country. To conclude, all the communication on the informal group units spent Ukraine showed higher speed of reaction as the group and its postings and refugee relief actions started activity from the very first day, 24th of February 2022, when Ukraine was attacked by Russian troops, whilst the government's first posting were rather passive and diagnostic, and the beginning and actual action started on the 26th of February. Then the total number of postings on the group units spent Ukraine, more than 73,000 in 48 days, were by far bigger than the next decreasingly on the government's page, only 103, and even less on the NGO's pages. The existence of websites developed by the government and by the non-governmental organizations triggered more controversy and therein more communication feedback from the citizens on the corresponding Facebook pages. The final conclusion to the conclusions, all in all, combined communication, formal, non-formal, and informal, proved for sure to be more successful in supporting the refugees from an open conflict area, rather than only a limited approach of any of these three, be it any of these three ways of communication.